Basically, we talked about our journey after the expansion of the cosmic body, which was after we met what we call the great star on the wall. All right. And this was when we differentiated into different souls, because initially we were just one unified super soul. Okay. And at some point after that, we ended up on the star system Arcturus and traveled to the great bear star system, Dubhe. And we ended up on a planet. And on this planet, we initiated or experimented with very primitive plant life. Okay, until a cataclysm took place that ended up sending a number of souls into one of those stars. I don't know which one, but a culling of souls can only take place in a star. All right, so the cataclysm sent this planet out of that star system and into our current star system, crashing into Uranus, which created our future home, Oberon. And then some kind of way we were transported to Earth. I don't know if it was on a physical meteor or part of that planet crashed into Earth, or if through the agency of our spirit, the magnetic monopole, we ended up on Earth. But most likely it was through something physical, because that's how a lot of things take place in this universe. Okay, so we also talked about, from there we talked about the great oxidization event and how that correlates with these timelines. And we talked about the beginning of life forms and the different stages on until the full breakdown of the incarnation process, which itself happens to be coming to an end. Many people already know and sense it, but it's an actual thing.
Let's go to as above, so below to come up with an explanation for this question or an answer for this question. If you realize on the larger scale that this universe is a universal mind, that the universe itself has enough connections, energetic connections, to allow it to become conscious. Let's just imagine that for a minute on the larger scale, on the macro. Now let's take that down to the micro. Look at your mind, your brain inside of your skull. Your brain is encased in complete darkness. Let's presuppose your brain is a fractal of the universal mind. Now, what happens with your brain? Your brain is encased in darkness. It doesn't have any idea what's going on outside, but your brain does have friends. All your sensory perceptions, right? So you're touching, smelling, hearing, tasting, seeing. It says to its friends, hey, you guys go out there and collect me some data so I can figure out what's going on. The friends go out and they start touching, smelling, tasting, hearing, feeling, seeing. They themselves don't understand the data that they are collecting. They can only collect the information. They collect the data and transmit it through electrical signals back to the brain. The brain then takes that data, that raw data, and sorts it all out. And then the brain actually projects a hologram, and you navigate through that hologram that your brain took in from information, data collected from its sensory perception friends. So what does that mean? On the larger scale, let's go back to the macro now. Imagine that the universe is a mind, a conscious entity. Now let's take a look at that. Who are the universal mind's friends? Well, that would be Paul Wallace, Billy Carson, right? Your neighbor, your wife, your son, your whatever, right? So we ourselves, all the sentient beings throughout the entire known universe, and even the non-sentient beings, are all out here collecting data. By how? By living our actual lives, by doing what we do on a daily basis. We are collecting data. And I believe that we are consciously transmitting that information back to the source. And the source is learning what it's like to be me, you, and everyone else, and everything else that exists in the known universe. And the reason why this is important is because it lets you know that we have a direct connection and that everything potentially is conscious. Because even an atom has electrons orbiting it. Those electrons make a conscious decision to become a wave or actual digital bits of information based on observation. We know that through the double slit experiment in quantum physics. So if not only are we conscious, but even an atom is conscious, which means a rock is conscious, a blade of grass is conscious, a tree is conscious. Everything is transmitting information back to source, and source has the omnipresence and omnipotence through this energy field, and it's gaining all of this data, and it's understanding what is it like to be everything that exists in this realm.
I love this concept. I first discovered it in Phaedo, Plato's book, where he argues that consciousness came first, and that everything in the material cosmos exists in order for that consciousness to experience itself and to have experiences. The whole cosmos is on a learning journey, and your learning journey and mine are really a fractalization of that. And I love how you put it, that the universe is experiencing itself through my sense of sight, through my sense of taste, so on and so forth. This idea about the origins of the cosmos was really already in mainstream thought and conversation 2,000 years ago. Somehow, though, it never quite made it onto the mainstream syllabus of our schools and churches. And I'm going to come back to that. Yeah. But round about the time that Christianity was beginning, it was something that people had some understanding of. So much so that when the Apostle Paul gives a definition of God as the Greeks understood it, this is the Greek word theos. And he said, theos means the source of the cosmos and everything in it, that in which we all live and move and have our being, of which we are all offspring. And what I love about that definition is there's no separation in it. You and I couldn't be more intimately connected with the source. There's nothing we have to do to get back to the source. We are all emanations of the source.
Exactly.
And it's as you were saying, Billy, that we should fully expect to be having divine experiences, thinking divine thoughts, feeding information to the divine through our own experiences. And I find that once I took that notion on board, I began seeing evidences of this all around me. And it was a far more empowering kind of approach to life and consciousness and spirituality than I'd had before.